The very nature of this industry means that rumors and leaks are always going to be found in abundance. And while a lot of them are easy to discount, there are some that catch on and generate a lot of conversation. There's plenty of those rumors floating around right now about major games that are supposedly in development for the PS5 and/or Xbox Series X and S. Of course, there's no way of knowing which, if any of these rumors are true, but it's sure fun talking about the possibilities. Here, that's exactly what we're going to do, as we go over some of the biggest games currently rumored to be in development for current-gen consoles. Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. Metal Gear has been in a weird place ever since Hideo Kojima left Konami, but recent reports have suggested that the series might be gearing up for a big comeback. A recent VGC report claimed that a ground-up Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is currently in development at Virtuos. Given Konami's track record over the last decade, it's hard not to be skeptical. But if this remake is indeed real and Virtuos does manage to do justice to the stealth classic, they might end up bringing back Metal Gear in the best way possible. New Silent Hill. Metal Gear isn't the only beloved Konami franchise that's allegedly coming back. Rumors about a Silent Hill revival have been around a lot longer, in fact, and have been going through several variations over the last couple of years. Almost to a torturous degree, Bloober Team has signed a, quote, strategic cooperation agreement, unquote, with Konami, which may have been taken as concrete evidence that the horror studio is working on a new Silent Hill game, while reports have also suggested that a prominent Japanese developer is working on a Silent Hill game as well. Most recently, a Gematsu report also claimed that it's Kojima Productions that's working on Silent Hill, with the project being funded by Sony. Either way, one thing that countless reports agree on is that Konami's horror series looks like it's coming back. Co-op Horizon game. Horizon Forbidden West is launching not far from now, but apparently Guerrilla Games is already at work on what comes next. And according to a pretty recent VGC report, what comes next isn't what you might expect. Job listings seem to strongly suggest that Guerrilla is working on an open-world co-op action RPG, and VGC claims that the game is a standalone project set in the Horizon universe. Something that apparently hasn't been decided yet is if this will be an online-focused spin-off or a part of Horizon 3 itself, but the report claims that if it's the former, Guerrilla will ensure that progress carries over into the next Horizon game. It certainly sounds like an intriguing concept, so if it's real, we hope we get to learn more about it in the not-too-distant future. New Splinter Cell. It's infuriating to see how poorly the developer has managed the Splinter Cell series over the last decade. Splinter Cell Blacklist sadly didn't perform as well as it should have, after which the series went on a seemingly never-ending hiatus, which, it seems, might be ending soon. A recent report by VGC claims that a new mainline Splinter Cell games development has been greenlit, and that the project is in early development outside of the developer's traditional Montreal base. Though whether that means it's an external team remains to be seen, given the developer's insistence on turning every game it makes into either a massive open-world title or a free-to-play multiplayer experience. There's some healthy skepticism about what this new Splinter Cell will even be. But if it ends up being the stealth-focused, narrative-driven game fans have been hoping for years, there'll be plenty of reason to look forward to it. New Killer Instinct. There's a number of rare properties that haven't exactly been leveraged as well as they should have been under Microsoft, from Banjo-Kazooie to Perfect Dark, though that is in line for a big comeback. Another one of those is Killer Instinct. Microsoft did admittedly try to revive Killer Instinct back in 2013, but that didn't exactly do as well as they would have expected. Recently, however, Xbox-era's Nick Baker claimed that a new Killer Instinct game was in active development. There's no word on who's making the game or how far along in development it is. Either way, we do hope that there really is a new Killer Instinct game on the way, because this franchise has a ton of untapped potential. The Last of Us Remake. The Last of Us's remake leaked earlier this year in a report written by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, and instantly the news was met with a fair amount of backlash. A ground-up remake for a 2013 game that got a pretty comprehensive remaster in 2014 and still looks and runs better than most major games out there is not exactly something anyone needs, or something you'd want a studio as talented as Naughty Dog to be spending its time on. Either way, there is some exciting potential here when you think about it. If Naughty Dog can remake the first game and on top of all the expected visual improvements also bring over gameplay features from Part 2, it could enhance the original experience in significant ways. Improvements to level design, combat, stealth, and perhaps even tweaks to the story to make it connect with the sequel a little bit more could make for a very interesting remake. Mortal Kombat 12. For some time now, NetherRealm Studios has followed a pretty consistent pattern of alternating between Mortal Kombat and Injustice games, and now that Mortal Kombat 11 is in the rearview mirror, most people are expecting that Injustice 3 will be next. Earlier this year, however, journalist Jeff Grubb claimed in an episode of Giant Bomb show Grubb Snacks that the studio has actually started working on Mortal Kombat 12. According to Grubb, given NetherRealm's shaky future within Warner Bros. Right now, and the shaky future of Warner Bros. Games as a whole, the studio didn't want to begin working on a project that would require the use of licensed characters, especially if they end up getting sold off in the future. Of course, there are a lot of variables here. For instance, we don't know if WB Games will sell NetherRealm Studios. They say they won't. And there's also been some speculation that the studio could be working on a Marvel vs. DC game. Given NetherRealm's pedigree, people will be interested no matter what they're working on, but we do hope we get some clarity on that not too long from now. New Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal is one of many beloved franchises in Sony's catalog that's been dormant for too long, but multiple reports in recent weeks have suggested that it's on the comeback trail. Noted industry insider Tom Henderson has previously claimed that a new Twisted Metal game is in development and apparently targeting a 2023 launch, which was then corroborated by Grubb on his Giant Bomb show. Recently, in fact, VGC also noted in a report that Lucid Games, developer of Destruction All-Stars, is developing the new free-to-play Twisted Metal game, which is apparently targeting the 2023 window to coincide with the in-development TV series release. The Crew Orlando. It's been a while since The Crew 2 came out, and though the open-world racing series isn't exactly a critical darling, it's obviously done well enough to warrant a sequel, and one is in the works, apparently. A recent Reddit leak, then expanded on by the previously mentioned Tom Henderson, suggests that a new game, The Crew Orlando, is in the works. Apparently it started life as a DLC before morphing into a full-blown sequel. Henderson has also claimed that the developer wasn't happy with The Crew 2 and is overhauling plenty of things in the next game, which might end up being a reboot. If the project is indeed real, it'll be interesting to see what shape it takes. Bloodborne 2. How long have people been asking for a Bloodborne remaster or PC port, let alone a sequel? Given how elusive even a 60 frames per second patch seems to be, surely there's no hope for a sequel, right? Well, some recent reports suggest otherwise. Colin Moriarty of Last Stand Media, formerly of IGN, and Xbox Era's Nick Baker have both mentioned that a full-fledged Bloodborne sequel is in development at Bluepoint Games. Bluepoint was, of course, recently acquired by PlayStation, following which Bluepoint president Marco Thrush said that the studio's next game would be, quote, original content, not a remake. But that doesn't mean it has to be a new IP. A sequel is also original content. Besides, given how well they handled the challenge of remaking Demon's Souls, they might turn out to be a great pick for a Bloodborne 2, if that does exist, of course. And right now, that's a pretty big if. Grand Theft Auto 6. GTA 5 keeps raking in the cash, and Rockstar keeps pumping more money into the GTA Online pipeline. But as great as that is for the millions and millions of GTA Online players out there, that's come at the expense of a new GTA game. That said, according to Tom Henderson, Grand Theft Auto 6 is in the works and will be doing some pretty interesting things. According to Henderson, GTA 6 will be set in modern-day Vice City, will feature multiple playable protagonists, one of whom will be a woman, and feature a map that grows and changes over time. That last bit lines up with something Jason Schreier wrote in a Kotaku report in 2020, claiming that GTA 6 would launch as a medium-sized game, with Rockstar intending to expand it with regular post-launch updates. According to Henderson, the game's still a ways off, and might not launch until as late as 2025. Leak or no leak, obviously Rockstar is working on a GTA game, but if it does end up doing the things this report claims it'll do, it'll be interesting to see what shape that takes. Hideo Kojima's Xbox game. There have been multiple reports throughout this year that have claimed that Hideo Kojima is on the verge of signing a deal with Microsoft that will see him working on an Xbox-exclusive game, and that this project will apparently utilize cloud technology for its development and how it plays. Most recently, Xbox era's Nick Baker claimed that Kojima's Xbox game is going to be an existing IP, while Jeff Grubb has stated that Microsoft's recruitment of former Portal and Left 4 Dead developer Kim Swift as senior director of Xbox Cloud Gaming earlier this year was specifically for the purpose of working with Kojima, of course. No such deal has yet been officially announced, but allegedly it's close to being done, so here's hoping that it's real and gets confirmed soon. Resident Evil 4 Remake. We first heard about a Resident Evil 4 remake in early 2020. Earlier this year, a VGC report claimed that the remake's development has been rebooted. Initially being led by Resident Evil 3 remake developer M2, Capcom and the development team ended up disagreeing about the direction they wanted to take with the next game. Capcom apparently wants to make big changes to the original game, while M2, wary after the criticism for the RE3 remake, wanted to make the RE4 remake much more faithful. According to the report, the project has now been brought in to be developed internally, at Capcom's internal Division 1, which traditionally does the mainline Resident Evil games. Resident Evil 4 is an absolutely massive game to say the least, and remaking it is going to be a huge undertaking. And if Capcom is indeed doing that, then we're quite excited and frankly a little cautious to see how they approach it. Quantic Dream's Star Wars game. EA no longer holds an exclusive right over the Star Wars license, and if rumors are to be believed though, there might be more developers working with Star Wars that we don't yet know about. Recently, Tom Henderson claimed that Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain developer Quantic Dream is working on a Star Wars game. Not long afterward, Kotaku followed up on that report, stating that the game has been in development for 18 months. That Quantic Dream's new studio in Montreal is crucial for the game's development, and that, unlike the developer's past games, the Star Wars project will be a full-fledged action-adventure game rather than a QTE-focused cinematic adventure title. Again, Disney has recently started handing out Star Wars license to more developers out there, so this may very well be real. If it is, being a major Star Wars game, it will obviously have our attention. IO Interactive's Project Dragon. IO Interactive has said that in addition to continuing support for Hitman 3 and working on Project 007, the studio is working on another unannounced project, but reports have potentially revealed some interesting details on what that project is. As reported by Windows Central earlier this year, it's currently called Project Dragon and is an Xbox-exclusive action RPG with a fantasy setting. The game is supposedly still in early development, which means many details are still not nailed down, but allegedly it will be set in a connected world, which of course suggests that it's going to have multiplayer elements. Obviously there's a lot that isn't clear about what this game is and how it'll play, but we're certainly curious to learn more. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Bolt.